Yes, my friends, it is time for me to do the review video that everybody who knows me has been waiting for. So I can ask that one simple question that I ask in every review video that I do. Is it any good? Well, let me start with what I think is the perfect analogy. If the original Dead Space is what goes into the store in this clip, then the Dead Space remake is what comes out. Hello again, you lovely lot. Welcome back to a brand new review video. My name is Gamester and today we're going to be talking about the new motive project, the Dead Space remake. Now before we go any further, it's only right and fair that I give you two bits of information. Firstly, Dead Space is my favourite video gaming franchise of all time. Now you would be forgiven for thinking that that might make me a little bit biased towards this game, but quite the opposite. This means that Motive had a massive job to try and convince me that this was better than the original. Watch the rest of the video to find out whether they did that or not. Number two, this is on minimum graphics. Yes, I know, this is minimum graphics because my graphics card is only a 1060, which is the minimum requirement for this game on PC, and it looks amazing. So while I'm going through the main little story that you've got in this game, I'm going to just throw up a little comparison on the screen to show you just how much it's changed from the original to now. Now I'm willing to bet that most of you already know about the story in Dead Space, but if you are new to the franchise, I'm going to bring you up to speed by giving you a brief overview. And don't worry, like with every single one of my reviews, all the gameplay is going to be from the very first hour and there is going to be no spoilers. When you start the game, you play as Isaac Clarke, an engineer on board a ship that is responding to a distress signal sent out by the Ishimura. The Ishimura is a massive spaceship known as a planet cracker, aka a mining ship. However, when you approach the ship, you realize that the running lights are not working, so everything has gone dark. As you board the ship, you realize you have not been greeted and things are not what they seem. It soon becomes obvious that necromorphs have taken over the entire ship. What are necromorphs? Necromorphs are the crew mutated into monsters. You try and complete your mission, but soon it becomes more of survival than trying to escape. And that is the basic story, without me spoiling anything or giving you any bits of information that will spoil the story later on. So what has changed between the original game and the new one? Well, a lot. That would be the simple way of saying it, but let's go through them bit by bit. The obvious ones are what you can see on screen right now. The visuals from left, the original, and right, the remake. It is absolutely astonishing how good this game looks using the Unreal Engine 5 in comparison to the original game. The original game was a bit clunky, but it was still very enjoyable. By today's standards, it's starting to show its age a little bit. So when it comes to the visuals in the new game and the controls themselves, everything has been modernized and looks a hell of a lot better for it. Now remember, this is on minimum graphics and it has been optimized superbly for the PC. But if you're wondering what it'd be like on the maximum settings, well, I've got my good friend Taylor to give you a little clip from his computer. This is what the game looks like running on maximum settings, and as you can tell, the game has been overhauled completely and Motive did a fantastic job. The game is absolutely stunning, and now it manages to convey the darkness. The game was always quite brightly lit, even in the darkest areas, but this time, now the real depth of darkness is shown in beautiful resolution. So I have had a lot of fun playing through this all over again. A perfect example of this is as you come out of this elevator. Into this massive room, you will notice there are a lot of dark areas in the original. And yeah, they've done a really good job giving you that atmosphere, but there's no depth behind it. However, in the remake, it's completely different. This is what you see when you come out of the lift in the remake. It gives it a whole lot more depth and it makes the place look foreboding. And now you are going to walk around this area and you're going to be very apprehensive of what's around the next corner. Now, besides how good the game looks in the remake, there are a lot of quality of life improvements and subtle little changes that you may miss. Limb damage is one of them. Take a look at the example on screen. As you can see, you can hit the enemy and it breaks off the limbs, which is nothing new. But in the new version, they have changed it significantly, so you get moments like this. As you damage enemies' limbs in the remake, you actually see a visual representation of how much damage you've done and to where, so you can actually concentrate on that area to break off the limb. That in itself is not a change that needed to be made, but it does make the whole combat a lot more engaging and a lot more intense, so it makes it a lot better to play. Another quality of life improvement that they didn't need to do, but I'm really thankful that they did, is the weapons. In the original game, you would have to go into the store and purchase any new weapons, but in the new game, you don't. They have instead opted for you to be able to find the weapons throughout the game, and once you have found them, you can also find upgrades for those weapons, which are completely new. The upgrades will serve you well. If you take them to the bench, you can then further upgrade your weapon with more buffs using the nodes that you can also find around the maps. For example, this is the first upgrade path that you could use back in the original game, and this one is the new one. All the grey areas that you can see are the areas that you can upgrade once you find the relevant parts. But the changes don't even stop there. The doors in the older game used to just be a case of finding the power core, sliding it into the hole, and that would unlock the door. In the new game, it's different. There are still doors like that, but for the most part you will get switches which allow you to divert the power one way or another. So you've got to prioritise whether you want to unlock a door, give power to a lift, or turn the lights out. And that makes the game a whole lot more interesting. But out of all the changes they have made in the remake, this one is my favourite. In the original games, when it comes to the zero-G environments, you had to point and click at a certain surface. It would launch Isaac to that surface and the gravity boots would connect you to it, enabling you to walk around, but then you would find it hard to find where you had to move next. In the remake, however, you just launch yourself into the air and then you have 360-degree movement. You can move wherever you want. You can boost in that direction using the jet boosters on your suit, and that gives you a lot more freedom. It's not even a massive change, but it is one that I really do appreciate more than any other. And the last major change that I need to mention are these, the new access code doorways. Within your rig, aka your exoskeleton or your suit, you will have access codes. But because you're not part of the Ishimura crew, you have standard access codes. You have to find the relevant people from the Ishimura crew in order to upgrade your access codes to get through these doors into the lockers or the containers that have that security on them. There are 4 different types: level 1, level 2, level 3 and master level. Now in order to get the first 2, all you need to do is play through the entire campaign. But in order to get 3 and 4, there are other rigs that you need to find across the Ishimura ship in order to upgrade at the bridge and give you access to all the best loot and the best areas. So it is definitely worth doing. So now that brings us to the point in the video that I get to in every review. Is it any good? Should you go out and spend your money on this game, as seen as it is still a premium priced game? And I have no difficulty in giving you a confident and resounding yes. I could go through all the pros and cons of this game, but I don't mind telling you, there are no cons. If you really enjoyed the original game, you are going to absolutely adore this one because it is superb. Everything has been overhauled and it makes the game a lot more enjoyable to play than the original. Now I'm not going to lie, with this being my favourite franchise, I have of course been following the development of this game for quite a while. And I was very excited right up until their Twitter account decided to say, this is why we have changed the story. And at that point I was very disappointed, because that is something that Motive promised they were never going to do. They were going to keep the core story the same. So when the article came out saying they are going to change some of it, yeah, I wasn't best pleased, because I was thinking you cannot improve on perfection. Well, I was mistaken, because that is exactly what Motive have done. They have improved on what I consider to be a perfect game. Now even when I take my bias out of the equation and I am as hypercritical about this game as I possibly can be, I am still finding it extremely difficult to find anything negative to say about this game at all. The visuals are stunning, the gameplay is amazing, and the way it plays is absolutely fantastic. And that is not mentioning the story changes that have helped to develop the whole universe and the setting of the Ishimura spaceship. Everything in this game is absolutely outstanding. So it gives me great pleasure for the first time in around 6 or 7 years to give this game a maximum marking of 10 out of 10. That's how much I adore this game. And just from a critical standpoint, it is superb. If you like horror and if you like survival horror, you are going to love this game. If you played the original, you will know exactly what I mean from the very first moment that you start to play this one. So I would highly recommend it. But that's it. You know how these reviews work by now. I'm an old man gamer. I've been gaming for a long time, so I know what I'm talking about and I know what makes a good game. I will give you some pros, some cons most of the time, and I will let you know whether I think you should go out and purchase it yourself. In this case, Dead Space is definitely a winner and it's blown me away. So you'll have to forgive me for gushing a little bit. But until next time, my friends, I'm going to bid you all a fond farewell, say thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Consider hitting the subscribe button if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one.